Thank you. Okay. So, I would like to start with a quote, or I could say a quote from a movie by a criminal who thinks that he's a hero, maybe. Yes. I guess everyone have seen the movie The Dark Knight. Yes. Yes. Okay. So he tells that, you see, I am not the monster. I am just ahead of the curve. Yes. So we can see that his mindset or himself is very different, which is leading him to do crime. Yes. Do you agree? He says he is not the monster. Okay. Yes. So will in this PPT, today's PPT will understand how exactly human behavior works in a forensic context. For example, in psychology, we learn that what is a normal human behavior, but here we will relate crime, or you can say people who are or who have committed crime, or maybe people who haven't yet crossed the boundary, but are in a mindset. So we'll understand beforehand that if a person might a person's human behavior or mind, so that we can at least get to know that if the person might commit a crime or not commit a crime. Okay. So here's the question, that what makes people commit crimes? Lie, obey, or resist? Okay. So just not crime, but also why they lie, why they obey. Like sometimes we have seen that a person is obeying other person to do crime or to do some heinous deeds. Also, why they resist sometimes. Yes. So we'll begin. Okay. So first of all, what exactly influences a human behavior? I would really like insights of your, just not from the screen, but your perspective, that what influences a human behavior.
Ma'am, our surroundings,
Yes, right.
after that, our upbringing, maybe.
Yes.
And ma'am, one more
Mm,
reason that I think is, ma'am,
yes.
our basic surroundings, like our internet surroundings, like the type of people we talk to on internet.
And social. Yes, social.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Movies, our friends. Yes, childhood, how our upbringing was done. Yes. Past experience can also influence. Yes, right. Hormones, neurotransmitters. Yes, obviously. It's just not
The
just
mental
one.
health.
Yes, mental health. Yes, mental health. Yes. So, not just one criteria we can consider, that is psychology of a person, but it is also biology, also social. Yes. Okay. Some incidents. Yes, some incidents also influence human behavior. Yes. So biology, if we say, some sometimes people with genetics who are having high levels of testosterone, maybe a mental disorder, maybe some kind of imbalance. Yes, that can also influence a human behavior. The biology as a whole. Psychology, if we say, it's our thoughts, our emotions, how we perceive, how we manage our emotions, how we manage our anger, how uh, how far we are able to control and channelize our emotions. Yes. So it also influences a human behavior. Now social. Okay, this factor is so much, we can say, nowadays social has been a very big factor for influencing a human behavior. Do you guys agree? Yes. A society is a very big factor for influence, for an influence. Yes, we have seen that there is conformity while we do anything, while we are in conformity. If here people, if you don't know, it is an act which we do in a public. While if our friends group, for example, if most of the people are telling to go to a movies, we will eventually go. So we won't deny, because we have a conformity, a social, because of social pressure, or social you can say, मतलब हमें जाना पड़ेगा इसलिए we do, so it is called conformity. Let's say if you are in a situation in front of your teacher or in front of someone authoritative, okay, so your friends, everyone is answering either yes or no, and most of the uh, people around you, your friends around you, will answer yes. Eventually you will try, but you will, some or the other, you will answer yes. You might, if you say that, if you will answer no, but you will even think twice that maybe I'm not right, or maybe everyone is saying, so I should say that way. So this phenomena is called conformity. Okay, so due to uh, conformity, social conformity, our behavior is influenced. We see trends. Okay, so it is all, it also comes in social conformity. Like there is a trend for wearing this kind of jeans, there is a trend for wearing this kind of clothes, there is a trend for using Instagram, then there is a trend, let's say, for buying a bag. Yes, do you guys get my point? Yes. Okay, so socially, we as a human being, we are a social animal. But nowadays, especially, our behavior is so much so influenced by social, that we have seen that people in we have seen a pattern in crimes that are influenced by one or the other. Like if someone, for example, uh, please do let me know if you guys agree that uh, there was a case, first, it was not first case, but there was a case where a person kills the other person, and there they cut it to pieces and throw it away. Then there was another case, second case, then there was third case. Okay, it was influenced by some kind of movie, maybe series. I'm not telling 100%, but yes. Then there was a trend in crime also. I i am not guaranteeing it is a trend, but yes, if you have seen the pattern, that even crime has a trend. Yes, so it was influenced, the crime is being influenced by how one should do crime. Yes. Okay, so we understand here that human behavior is being influenced by lot of things around us. Okay, for understanding a human behavior, how a human being act, a person, how they act, on what basis they act, why they act, we should learn, or we should know the Sigmund Freud's model structure of how a person makes a decision. Okay, so there are three: id, ego, and superego. So id are our instincts. Like for example, uh, we are hungry, we go and grab a food, a bite. If some there is a chocolate, then we will get grab a chocolate. Okay, so id is our instincts, the what you say, and instincts as a human being, human desire, basic human desires. So id plays a role where your human desires are being expressed. Okay, and ego, now comes ego. Okay, I'll talk about superego first. Superego is our morality principle, which is influenced by, mostly, if you say society, if you say people around us, our family, our parents. For example, say, if I will not do this wrong. Okay, I will follow traffic rules. I know we don't follow, but then morality, when it comes to morality, the superego plays the role, and it is mostly influenced by society or the people around us. Okay, So now, let's say, for example, there is id and superego, by through which we take decisions. If I am having hunger, I'll take a decision that if there is a food in front of me, I'll eat it. Then there is a morality principle that everyone around us, until they eat, I won't be able to eat. So, are you getting that? Uh, am I clear about the situation that there is id and there is superego? Now, there are situations where we have to get a middle line. I am very much hungry, and my id desire that to eat the food is so much so that I won't be able to control. And my superego is telling me that until the family members eat, I won't be able to eat. Okay, so now to have a balance between it, we have ego. It is a judgmental. It judges both ego. Sorry, id. Ego is judges id and superego both, and finds a pathway which is in the middle. So, for example, uh, I am hungry. So my id is telling me to eat something. My superego is telling me not to eat because everyone is not eating. They are talking right now, and until everyone will eat, I won't be able to eat. So ego will find a way in between, that I am hungry, I want to eat, but I won't be able to eat right now. So what ego does, that you maybe as me as a person, I'll go in the kitchen and I'll have something snacks. I won't have an entire meal. So what ego did, it did a balance between id and your superego. Yes, I hope I got the point. Yes, guys, any question? Okay, so okay, okay, thank you. So now we will apply this same principle when there is a criminal behavior. Okay. As a person, when a person is not able to find a in between way, or you can say when a person's ego is not so formed or is not able to think properly through ego, then the person might take decision on the base of id or superego. They are not wrong, but yes, they are not exactly right for the society. If we say, not some, every time, but sometimes, if we say that a person is having an instinct to uh, for example, if a person is lacking money, if a person wants money, and he can even rob a bank or rob anything which is in front of him, he can rob a person. So his id is telling him to go and rob a money because it is the instinct. It is like the uh, to complete his like fulfill his desire right now itself, because he is in need of money. But his superego will try to control him that it is not morally right. So the person will, what he will do, either he might follow superego or either he might follow id. Mostly the crime happens when a person follows id and does not follow a pathway, either superego or ego. Okay, so for example, as I told, that the person is in need of money. He has his instincts tell to get them. If he has a situation that in front, if he's having a situation where in front of he has a chance to rob to rob the person in front of him or take away some money, then it will tell him to go and get the money. Superego will tell him it is not morally right. But I would like, really would like to ask you guys that if you are in a situation where you really need money, some, so if you I guess you guys, if you guys put your foot in the person's shoe, if you are not, you have never been in this kind of situation, but if you see someone is very poor, he or she needs money, let's say for hospital, let's say for someone's good deeds, maybe bad deed too. So what a person will do, because he will be pressurized, he wants money. he his first instinct is to rob the person in front of him, or if there is money he should get the money from it, right? So when a person is not able to exactly uh, have a stable thought of superego and id, that time he chooses the first instinct he or she gets. For example, id, that he will go and get the money. So the crime happened. Yes, we have even heard that recent case of I Bengal. I guess the doctor student, the student, she was a doctor. She was being raped by a person, and people called the forensics expert as well as people in media call him animal instinct. He had an animal instinct. So what is this animal instincts? What are these instincts? It is the desire as a human being when a person thinks by his basic desires of food, desire for sex, desire for money. Okay, so basic desires are your instincts. This instinct, I am not talking about the instinct or gut feeling. Okay, I'm not talking about gut feeling here, but the instincts that we get as a normal human being, as a human basic nature. Okay, yes, either ego or it, because that person's mentality focuses on his sufferings. Yes. Are you, Prerna? Are you talking about the person who was, I told the example of poor person? Yes. Are you talking about that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So when, okay, yes, you are right. The
Yes, please,
person
ma'am.
will take decision. The person will take decision on the basis of it. We don't know the exact situation, but if he takes the decision on the basis of his id, sometimes it crosses the basic norms of the society, and the crime happens. Okay, so conflict between these can lead to inner tension if a person is not able to exactly stabilize or think through from his basic instincts and the morality. The person has a cognitive, you say, dissonance. When the person wants something but his morality says something, then there will be a conflict in his mind. Okay, there the main role of ego plays. So everyone, every as a human being, a person should have a strong ego. Okay, I'm not talking about ego as in mujhe, I am having an ego, I will not talk to the person. This is not the ego. Okay, this is the ego which uh, Sigmund Freud have like they, in the theory of it, ego and superego, he have mentioned. Okay, this is not the ego. I repeat, this is not the ego which we say in day to day life. Like I am having an ego, I won't talk to someone. I am having an ego. I will not text the person. This is not the ego. Okay, yes, Tanish.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that, ma'am, as you said that like a person's actions can be triggered because of the basic instincts, like the pleasure
Yes,
driven, like it's written here, ma'am. Ma'am, but ma'am, there have been certain cases all around the world in which the instinct, rather than being fear stricken, they were more into the like pleasure part. Like a person was getting pleasure out of pure killing and murder. So, ma'am, can
yes.
we like count them into instincts, or should we count them into like super ego? Because
No,
a part of their conscience was also involved because they were conscious doing this.
yes. They see, the person who follow, who makes decision through their id also, they are also conscious. So we cannot say that it is from superego. Superego is boosted, or you can say it is made, or the superego has the support of morality, and there is id. Id has a support of basic human instincts, or you can say basic human desires. Yes. So if the person is having getting pleasure, it is a basic instinct. Let's say id. It is the he or she is performing from id. Why? Because the pleasure is like, for example, we can say pleasure of like there are even pleasures of killing someone, seeing someone in pain. So this is also a kind of instinct, like basic human instincts to feel good through pleasure. So pleasure can be divided into many things. Yes, I guess I got the point, Ganesh.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. For example, we'll take real life, as I told already. I have mentioned an example, but we'll take example in detail that if someone is committing a robbery for to get money for drugs. For example, someone is addicted. Okay, someone is maybe he or she can be on the initial stage of addiction, or maybe middle stage of addiction, or maybe very much addicted. Yes, but if a person commits robbery for drugs, for money for drugs, so it will tell that yes, I'll have a pleasure if I have drugs. I'll get high. I'll get the dopamine kick in myself. I'll feel good. I want to feel that. That is what id talking. Okay, it is driven by an impulse that I want something, I want a pleasure, and I have to satisfy it. It is very quick. Like it is like a small child who is uh, who is crying for to his mom and dad, like I want this toy, but the child doesn't know that why exactly he or she wants the toy. Okay, so it is like a child, like he if the id wants that I want pleasure, then he will think that way. Okay, so it's impulse. So here superego may be weak. It might get weak. Why? Because the drug, already the person is in an influence of drug, he already have did drug, and he is dominated by it, the pleasure he wants, the quick, you say the quick desire he wants. So the superego, even if the superego tells that I want to get out of this addiction, the person won't be able to think through. He will suppress the superego, which is morality. Okay, superego tells superego will tell that it is not right, I want to get out of the drug, maybe I want to go in rehabilitation. Okay, superego might also tell the person that it is not right, it is not socially right, it is not right because my family told so. Okay, but here he has already an overpowering of id. So now what ego does, that he calculates the risk and chooses, and like the ego will calculate the risk that id id is dominating right now, I have to follow id or superego. Okay, so ego will get a way, like in between. Let's say ego will decide that okay, I'm not having money, I can control, I can either get help, I can either do the drug after I get the money. Okay, so ego will always try to compensate between id and superego, but the drive of the ego id is so much that the person will not be able to control themselves. They won't be able to hold themselves back. Okay, so every time when there is something, uh, if the crime is happening, a person always thinks through id, never superego, never ego. So the as I can I guess everyone is getting an example that how a person's mind will work at the spot when the person is committing crime, or either before, exactly before the crime. Yes, yes, are you guys getting me? Thank you. Okay, okay, yes. Now why exactly this matters, why your ego, uh, why your id, why your superego exactly matters, why it matters as a normal human being as well, if we haven't committed any crime, still why it matters. So this matters because many offenders, they act in id dominated behavior. as I already said, that they are not able to control their impulses. They are pleasure seeking. They won't be able to think ahead of them while the id is dominating. So if the ego is weak, okay, eventually if id is dominated, the ego gets weak. It won't be able to make a decision. Same goes for superego. If id is dominated, the superego also will get weak. Like empathy, which comes in morality, okay. Like it will, the superego will tell to have empathy. It will try to guilt that, that superego will try to guilt that it is not socially right. But still, if the id will be dominated, the person won't be able to think accordingly. Okay, here I don't want to exactly compare the theories, but have you guys heard of sattva, rajas, and tamas? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now can you relate that id is tamas, id is tamas, superego is rajas, and ego is sattva. The concepts are different, but still, I'm sorry. Okay, the the concepts are different, but still, if you say that a person who is dominated by their rajas will think accordingly, a tamas will think accordingly. But the main point of a human behavior or a human to act or make a decision is with sattva. Yes, the people who know sattva, rajas, and tamas, are you getting my point? Yes. Okay. So here is an example in a meme form that we have seen in many movies, series. Yes, sorry, Prerna, yes. Okay, well, what you want me to explain?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, yes.
Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. I don't know about these concepts.
Okay, Prerna, if you can read about it, can you read? I'll explain. Obviously, I'll explain, but right now we are lacking time. I'll explain in starting of the next day.
Okay, sure,
Okay.
ma'am. No
Okay.
problem.
Okay. Okay. So here is the representation of id, ego, and superego. Now, can you guys relate with it? With it? Yes. Yes. We have seen a fairy and the devil on our shoulders. The fairy is the superego, the id is the devil. Now, every time we cannot follow or we can accept the devils or the angels, you can say opinions, but we have to make an opinion of our own. Yes. So, our next topic to understand a human behavior while in a criminal settings. Okay, so consequential thinking. How many of you know what is consequential thinking? Yes. Okay, anyone? No. Okay. Okay, consequential thinking is in a capacity of a person to think about the consequences before taking any action. Yes, the results of the action what you take. Yes. Now can you get, no, no, not, it's not overthinking. Okay, there is a very different prerna. Overthinking is when you think uh, about things which are not practically, you can say, in your control. Yes, if you are making, you are acting, okay, you are doing an action, then you will think what is in your control, what will happen if you, if the action, if you did an action, any action, okay. So what will be in your control? If you think that, then it is a consequential thinking. But what is not in your control, and which is not exactly it is not exactly the probability that it will happen. Okay. Yes. over Overthinking, that is, it is why it is called overthinking. Yes, right, Prerna? Okay, sorry. Yes, so consequential thinking is the ability to predict what will happen before you act. It's a higher level function of a brain, mostly handled by your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for planning, reasoning, and your impulse control. See, your impulse control is same impulse which through which the id plays the role. Okay, so as we see, while we see in the criminal settings that most of the criminals or who did crime are lacking the prefrontal cortex function, or their prefrontal cortex function is very lessened. Okay, like for example, they are not able to do proper reasoning. They will not be able to do proper reasoning, or proper thinking about the consequences that might affect them as well as people around them, right? So some offenders struggle here. They don't think ahead of us. Like, uh, in the moment they act. Okay, for example, if the person is acting out of id domination, then he or she won't be able to think, or will not think about the consequences, what exactly their action might cause. So the the offenders with poor impulse control, like the offenders who take risk, who are risk takers, like you say, robbing the bank or killing someone. Okay, they the risk they take are not out of exactly what they are not the risk they are taking. They are not able to think about the consequences that might happen or that are happening. Okay, so consequential thinking is very much important, and which is connected to your prefrontal cortex. Yes, I hope I got the point. Okay, so let's see an example that a person uh, a person who is in a situation where he have to take a decision on the basis of, let's say, he is taking decision out of id and impulse and instinct. Okay, so what happens, that he has the desire to complete his impulse or instinct so quickly that he won't be able to exactly think about the thoughts or the consequences, or the risk he is taking, or what might happen if he did this action. Because when the offender is doing is having lack of impulse, which is truly when he is taking a decision out of id. Okay, so if the offender is lacking an impulse, he would not be able to think through. He won't be able to, uh, maybe because his thinking patterns are restricted to the impulse he want to, let's say, satisfy. Okay, that's why he won't be able to think every situations which might happen if he performed the act. Okay, okay, I hope I am clear about consequential thinking. Yes, people. Yes. Okay, so this we are exactly understanding the brain, the human behavior, that how step by step what exactly happens in the, uh, when the person or the offender is doing crime, or any person who, even if the crime is small, even if the crime is not, uh, like in the law, if the it is the crime is exactly, like if we say, if we are angry on our friend and we impulsively beat or punch the your friend. Okay, like if you are angry with the if you are angry with your friend and you impulsively punch him, it is not a major crime, you can say. But still, exactly that what happens in your brain, how your thinking patterns are going on, this we are understanding. Okay, Yes. Okay. Now we will see that there are two types of people. Okay, who uh, who we can bifurcate in optimistic and pessimistic. Okay, how many people here knows that what is optimism and pessimism? Like optimistic people and pessimistic people. You can raise hand if you know what is
Ma'am,
optimist. Yes,
yeah. Ma'am, may I?
yes, please.
An optimistic person is a person who basically finds positive points even in a negative or a bad situation. And a pessimistic person is a person who tends to find the most negative out of a positive or a good situation.
Yes, right. Okay. Exactly, optimistic people are very much like they are too much of a positive. They they will be they will be a very, we won't say happy go lucky, okay, but whenever they are making decisions, they will be very confident. They will have a self confidence at a level that they will be able, they think that they will be able to conquer the thing, maybe solve the problem, or they will get into the situation knowing that yes, they will be able to solve the problem, or they can go through the circumstances or the situation positively. Yes. So optimistic people, we can say optimistic people are those who are very much confident, maybe overconfident sometimes. Yes, to do any work, any action, or be in any situation. Okay. So pessimistic people are, you can say, uh, the pessimistic people are those who look at their actions. They see if there are any negative things happening, if their action would cause any negative things. They would see that if their action will harm themselves, okay, they will be very protective of themselves. They will take a step after thinking a lot about the action what they are going to take. Optimistic people will think, optimistic people will also think, but they will think in a very positive way that they will come out of the situation. Pessimistic will think in a negative, or you can say the things which are that they might get harmed, or they will be vigilant, you can say. Okay. So I hope people, you guys got a overview of optimistic people and pessimistic people. Yes. 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 Okay. Here it is. So their thinking style, yes, hope, future planning, yes. Okay. So optimistic, we'll see now that how an optimistic offender thinks and a pessimistic offender thinks. Okay. We before this we got a view that difference between optimistic people and pessimistic people. But now we will see that if there is an optimistic offender and there is a pessimistic offender, what exactly their thinking pattern is. Okay. Optimistic offenders will tell that I won't get caught. If I do this action, they will think out of impulse. Yes, I am. I am pointing out that both the people, optimistic, pessimistic, are acting out of their id, their impulses. But here is the difference: that optimistic people will think that they won't get caught. They will come out of it easily. Even if they do anything, they won't look upon the risk they are taking. They they will think that they will think very positively and confidently that nothing will happen because they will do the right thing. Okay. Pessimistic people will think that I have nothing to lose. No one cares. Eventually, I'll do the act. Yes. Are you getting my point? Pessimistic offender will be vigilant, but when if pessimistic offender will think out of it, he will think that I have nothing to lose, no one cares. And an optimistic offender who is thinking out of it will think that I won't get caught, everything will work out. Both are performing out of their impulses. Okay. Then what happens? That I'm sorry. Okay. So what happens exactly? That the motivation of an optimistic offender is reward focus. For example, he is rewarded by money, like he is getting money. He's getting thrill out of killing people. He's getting thrill out of you can say riding a bike faster. Okay, so optimistic people are mostly focused on reward, and pessimistic people are mostly focused on escape. That how they can escape their pain by doing drugs, maybe by getting you can say doing something which makes them feel better. Okay, so their mind focus is very different. Okay, mostly an optimistic offender might go for a white collar crime. You can if you have seen that people who, even if they are in a high position, like even if they are in government job, they bribe. Okay, they uh, they misplace the document, or maybe they want to gain more money, they want more money, and they think that they won't get caught, right? Because as they are in a position where no one will able to be point out their crimes. Yes. Okay. And pessimistic offender, let's say substance abuse, doing drugs, or violent outbursts, like doing like murdering someone just to escape. Like for example, a murder which is done because out of fear. That for example, if we get a case that I am being pressurized by someone know my secrets, then the person wants to escape that stress pain, then the pessimistic offender might do like might murder someone. Okay, so so here I would like to ask a question, that who will be the best offender who won't get caught easily, and who will be the organized one? Yes. Okay, optimistic person offender won't get caught. Are you telling me are you guys agreeing? Yes. Okay.
Ma'am, I believe the pessimistic offender might be, hard to catch.
Yes, yes, yes. Right. Okay. So uh, it is the answer that pessimistic offender. He or she will think through. They will be vigilant. They won't take any step. Okay. They will be organized ones who, like for example, they knew what negative can happen if they did the offense, right? Optimistic is someone who won't think that what negative can happen, what how a police person can catch them. They won't think through, right? So they won't be going through they won't be able to think that how they can escape. Yes. Now who the people who have told optimistic offender, do you agree? Why pessimistic? Okay, optimistic ones can plan smartly to achieve the goal, because at the end, even they are offenders. Yes, they can, but mostly what happens that optimistic people are so proud, you can say full of confidence, that they won't think the negative aspects or the negative consequences of the situation. They will think that I will get through this, no one will be able to stop me. That creates a biasness in the offender's mind, which makes the optimistic offender uh, may like they won't be well organized, you can say. They won't think the negative circumstances or consequences, whereas pessimistic offenders will think about negative, like negative in the sense how they might get caught, what cues they have left. Okay, so they might get harmed, right? Yes. Okay, so here we can get a glimpse of criminal profiling as well. If we are catching any offender, we can see that if the offender is very much you can say unorganized, mostly the person's personality might be optimistic. If the person is well organized, who have pre-planned any crime, then they might be like there are 90% 80% they might be pessimistic offenders. Yes, we can say that. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Just a second. Okay. Can you see the next slide? Right? Are you guys able to see the next slide? Okay. So, what are exactly the biological roots of behavior? Biology actually plays a big role, very big role, when it comes to offending or taking decisions. Okay. So, we have already discussed in the previous slide that the prefrontal cortex manages the control. Okay, it is it is the control part where you don't just act on your impulse, which is very much needed for your consequential thinking. Your prefrontal cortex, as well as your prefrontal cortex, is the one who makes you think not from id but from ego. Yes. Okay. So the amygdala, it processes the emotion. Okay, so the working of amygdala mostly in criminals, or you can say psychopaths, who lack empathy, who lack emotions, who are not able to uh, analyze the emotions. Okay, so they are having some or the other kind of you can say problems in amygdala, because amygdala is the place where your emotions are been uh, like you are able to know what exactly emotions your emotions are, and you can process your emotions in amygdala. Okay, then comes the limbic system. Limbic system is something that drives your survival instincts. You can say id wala instincts. Okay, food. Okay, like fight, anger management, anger. Okay, so the limbic system, which is responsible for your survival drives, which is also responsible for your instinct actions. Okay, so chemicals like dopamine gives us reward feelings. So when a person who is doing drug, or even if the person who is doing crime, okay, that time what happens exactly? A serial killer, if we say, they are having a mindset of reward system, that if they do this, they are getting a reward of dopamine. They are getting a good not good hormone, but a thrill hormone. Okay, so why exactly? Sometimes the if we say that there was no reason to kill any person for a serial killer, still they commit crime. Why? Because there is a reason for their reward system. They are getting reward of the hormone so called, sorry, the neurotransmitter so called dopamine. Yes. If we say even while scrolling the reels, okay, while we are scrolling the reels, we are getting a dopamine hit, that a reel song is we are able to hear a song, we are able to see something that hits our brain, and the dopamine is released. So why we scroll unknowingly? Yes, because we are giving our brain a signal, a reward system, that एक reel hai, the next reel comes, we are getting a reward. Next reel comes, we are getting a reward. Even if we say we are getting a notification, okay, notification that someone liked your post, we are getting a reward. Yes, our brain is getting a reward. Someone liked your post, or there is a notification of someone you like, someone you want to talk to, or at least someone is talking to me. I am not alone. So whenever there is a notification, you are getting a reward. If you have seen, if there are no notification at all in your phone, or in your, let's say, any gadget you're using, like ipad or anything, that you're not getting any notifications, do you get an void feeling? Do you get a feeling that something is missing, right? Yes. Were you able to hear me? Yes. Huh. So, so my point is that we are almost surrounded by dopamine hits. Okay, let's say if we have watched a movie which was very uh, like fight, it is fighting. Okay, some people enjoy, some people don't, but it is very, the songs are very you can say that hit your brains, that makes you want to feel the emotions. So what exactly happens when you watch this kind of movies, reels? let's say series, it hits your dopamine. It gives you a reward, which makes you do things again and again. So same way, when an offender does a crime, or he or she steals, or he or she is getting money out of doing anything, out of doing, you can say, stealing, yes, so they are getting a reward. So I won't say exactly the behavior or the thing they are, the driving force is not always reward, but yes, most of the time it is a reward system, that an offender is doing a crime, or maybe the offender is doing crime again and again. It is just not serial killers, but yes, if you see that stealing also makes you reward, right? Theft, doing robbery, it gives you a thriller kick, it gives you a dopamine reward. Are you getting my point? Yes. Okay. So biology also plays a role when there is an offend, or you can say crime taking place. So sometimes there are also dysfunction in this part of your brain. Let's say prefrontal cortex. Some people's prefrontal cortex is not well developed. We cannot consider it exactly in any mental illness or disorder, but sometimes the prefrontal cortex is not properly developed. The person won't be able to control their impulse. If the amygdala is not properly working, uh, if there is a less blood flow in amygdala, the person is not able to resolve, or you can say analyze their emotions. If there is, you can say, new problem in your neurochemicals or neurotransmitters, where there is more dopamine release or less dopamine release, yes, so this can also, a biology can affect a person behavior when the person is offending, the offender, the person is doing a crime. Yes, can you relate the biology with the crime? Are you guys able to relate? Yes. Sorry, was I not audible? Am I audible, right? Yes. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so main point of this slide is that brain dysfunction is a criteria for, you can say, crime, but it doesn't mean that we are justifying it. Okay. Yes. Okay. Here there are some psychological theories which we can support, or we can say that sorry. I'm sorry. Again, I guess there was some issue. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So there are some psychological theories, which we can say that supports the uh, findings that how or why a crime or a criminal behaves. Okay. So there, first of all, we can see that there is classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and social learning theory. So from uh, I would be giving an assignment on these three theories, that this you have to read and come, also write, and you can write it or either can read it and come, because these three theories which helps to know how a human behavior, as a normal human behavior, as well as how a criminal behavior works. Okay. So I would give an example of a theory, that there was a bobo doll experiment conducted. Okay. I hope I'm clear enough. I'm audible, right? Okay. There was a experiment conducted by Bandura. Okay, it is social learning theory. You can read it afterwards as well. But there was a doll. If we see, there was a doll we can, which was very flexible. If we punch it, it will come back. Okay. I hope I'm able to clear the picture that how the doll was exactly. So there was an experiment where the children were told, children at the age, I guess, 5 to 10, were told to observe. They were in a scenario where they were observing their parents or any authoritative person. So a doll was kept in the room, the children were sitting, and a parent or any authoritative or an adult came and punched the doll very hard. Okay. Then the doll was doll sorry the adult who punched it hard, they were showing an aggression towards the doll. So after a while, when the adult went out of the room, after a while the children behaved same towards the doll. Okay. And when this group of children were exposed to aggression by an adult towards an doll, the bobo doll, and other group of children were exposed, that the adult comes in but does nothing to the bobo doll. So the children too didn't do anything to the bobo doll. They haven't shown aggression towards the bobo doll. So here we see that how a mind has been influenced. Yes, how a violence is being influenced or inculcated, that if a adult person is doing, the children follows. Yes, right? Are you getting my point? Yes, guys. I'm really sorry, I'm asking you again and again, because my in my background there is a lot of voice. So I just wanted to confirm that are you guys able to hear me, or there is any noise that is interrupting? Yes. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay. So this thing happened. Social learning, you can read it. This is an assignment. I'll discuss it again afterwards, and I'll give in the check box, obviously. So let's move further. Okay. We'll learn about a new theory which will support, or which we can how from how this we can know how a criminal behaves. So there are mirror neurons located in your brain. So what are exactly these mirror neurons? If I say, mirror neurons work as a learning, they are learning neurons. If someone is doing something in front of us, for example, in monkeys, these mirror neurons are very dominated. So if a monkey is eating a banana, the other monkey will also eat the same way, open it up and eat the same way. If one monkey is picking up anything, the other monkey will go and imitate the same thing. Okay. If, let's say, if a human being if kept in front of a monkey and a human being is clapping, the monkey will try to clap, right? So sometimes we learn things through seeing, imitating. So what exactly helps? The mirror neurons, which helps us to imitate the things or behaviors which we see in our society or we see in front of us. Okay, so if we say that if you want to learn any art form, you see a YouTube, right? So exactly that time what works? Your mirror neuron works. That's why you are able to see and learn. Okay, yes, are you getting my point? Yes, okay. So for example, if I say someone is eating, I might feel hungry, right? Yes, someone is eating a good food, someone I saw in a reel or a YouTube, that someone is eating with like your favorite food, you might too as well get hungry, right? Why? Because we actually are not acting upon it, but we are feeling through the mirror neurons. We are imitating in our brain that we we are imitating in our thoughts, but not in the action exactly, because we have a control, right? Yes, we have a conscious form that if we are seeing uh, we are seeing someone doing something, we won't directly imitate because we have a consciousness, we have a thinking capacity. If someone is let's say someone is clapping, we'll start clapping. Yes, that's something that happens eventually by imitating. But if someone is doing uh, throwing a garbage, we won't throw because we have a consciousness. Yes, that we have a moral, we have it ego and superego as well, so we won't do that. In monkeys, it has been seen that if a monkey is doing something, the other monkey will imitate it because this here mirror neurons play a very important role as well. They are dominated. So same happens in humans sometimes, or we say we when we are thinking out of impulse or id. For example, we have seen a violent movie. Okay, after seeing a violent movie in a theater, we go, we are riding a bike. We'll get an impulse to ride bike fast, don't we? Yes, sometimes, most of the times. Yes, guys, can you relate? Are you in a state of mind where if you are seeing something violent, you are in a state of mind where you want to showcase anger or violence? Yes. So when exactly a offender is going through any angry situation or a violent, he or she have seen something violent, sometimes these mirror neurons are dominated so much that the offender gets violent or imitates the act as well. Let's say if if a person have fought, okay, if a person with less consequential thinking, a person who doesn't have an impulse control, a person who only thinks through their id, who is not able to think through their super ego or either ego. Okay, this kind of person, when he is going through something, he is not able to manage his emotions, he is not able to be self aware. He is here, I'm repeating the point that he is in id state, that he will do any act in a id state. Okay, that time if this person is in a traffic, he will horn, yes, loudly, he will ride fast, maybe he will get into accident, maybe he will get into fight. Why? Because everything is playing in role right now. The consequential thinking is less, the id is dominated, his mirror neurons are dominated, he is imitating directly without controlling, without being able to control the situation or his action. Yes, are you getting my point? Yes, guys, everything is playing a role. Yes, okay, so I'll be showing a photo. Yes, how many people were yawning? How many people who have seen the screen were yawning? Yes. Okay. Yawning is something. If we see that if our friend is yawning, if someone in front of us is yawning, we will eventually yawn. Why? Because your mirror neurons are playing. Yes, the mirror neurons are playing the role. Okay. Yes. So this kind of action, minimal actions. For example, if someone is drinking a water, you might feel thirsty. Why? Because the mirror neurons are playing the role. Okay. Yes. I too am getting a yawn after concentrating or after seeing the picture. Yes. Okay. So we'll discuss this same personality and disorders further. But for right now, I would like to just put a light upon that when you are not able to make a right decision. Okay, there when you are not able to control your impulse for a long period of time, maybe because of genetics, sorry, maybe because of the biology, maybe because of uh, you can say childhood conditioning. Yes, which can lead to types of personality, which actually leads to type of personalities such as antisocial personality, narcissistic personality, borderline personality. Borderline personalities are people who are not able to control their impulses. Yes. So mental illness, this is, I'm not talking about right now mental illness, but types of personality. So personality as in antisocial doesn't mean it is a mental illness, or it doesn't mean that it is a disorder. Everyone everyone has a kind of personality, but which personality type or which trait of a personality is more dominated? We all have antisocial, right? We all have some or the other borderline. We all have some or the other levels of narcissism. Okay, but is it dominating? Is it to an extent which you are not being able to control? Then it goes in disorder. Okay. Yes. We will discuss this slide as well. uh, I am not able to discuss right now because it will be discussed in more detail in further fifth, fourth, yeah, fifth day, I guess. Yes. Okay, I'll move further. Okay. So, what are exactly the risk factors we can see in a criminal behavior? I'm not talking about people with high IQ who does crime, but I am talking about 80 to 90% of the population who are who are committing crime, who are offenders, like regular offenders. We can say offenders who are been influenced, or are been influenced or are not able to take proper decision. That's why they became criminals or they acted upon the crime. Yes. So risk factors we can see here are low IQ, maybe some kind of trauma, lack of impulse control. Socially, we can see that poor parenting, not always parent. Yes, everything we discuss here doesn't mean that it is 100%. Okay, social factor we discuss parenting skills, we discuss. It is not every time 100%, but overall criteria which affects on a person to commit crime. Okay, drug use, we can see drug use, access to weapons, access to crime. If the person is living in a situation or an environment where there is a crime happening, where, where the person have to do or is doing crime because it is being becoming an occupation. For example, we can say that red light area. Okay, trafficking, human trafficking, we can say there are some areas in India where, for example, we can say there are some states where there are very rash driving. So rash driving is not because sometimes it is in the culture of the state or the city you are living in, right? If you don't do a rash driving, you won't be able to get out of the traffic. So this are some criterias which also affects a person, if the person will do crime or the person will offend. Okay. So this evaluation also takes place while we are evaluating a person. If the person is capable to do heinous crime, these are criteria: biological, social, psychological. These criteria come into picture. Okay. uh, when we say that there is a evidence of a criminal, sorry, suspect, that the person is always angry. He he always acts out of impulsiveness. Then we can take this point as a evidence of a psychological evidence that if the person have committed murder, then it would be a proof by a lawyer that the person is not able to control the impulse, so maybe he is capable of doing the murder, or maybe capable enough to do something, a crime which is related to impulse. Yes, are you getting my point, guys? These are some factors, some points which can be concluded, which can be taken into consideration while considering the character of a person, the behavior of the person. Yes. Okay, so today we actually learned about behavior, a human behavior, and how a human behavior to an extent is been influenced by what kind of criterias, and how a human